You've just picked your child up from school, and it's like somebody turned their dial from charming child to little terror. You're doing your best to be loving and supportive, but understandably, this behavior wears your patience thin. You're probably wondering what's going on and how can I keep this from happening day in and day out. Today, I'll cover 5 common reasons for kids of all ages, not just kindergartners, to show their parents some of their worst behavior at school pickup time. The 5th reason will amaze you in a truly heartwarming way. Let's dive in with reason number 1, restraint collapse. In psychology, the after-school meltdown is commonly referred to as restraint collapse. What that means is your child is trying so hard all day to be on their best behavior, to be good for their teacher and follow the school rules, that when the school bell rings, they just have nothing left in the tank to give. They've held all their worst behavior in all day, and now it just has to come out. Whether they've instantly lost the ability to carry anything, especially their backpack, the dreaded whining, or a particularly snippy remark from your teen right after school can be a tough time for kids and for parents. Sadly, you, as the parent picking them up, have to deal with what little energy they have left in their tank. Now, there are a number of individual differences between kids that allow some kids to fare better than others at pickup time. But if you're watching this video, you likely have one whose tank is nearly empty at pickup. With 4 kiddos myself, you bet I know exactly what you're going through, regardless of what age we're talking about, but especially for elementary-aged kids. Most schools share the same problem. Not enough recess, not enough outdoor play, not enough unstructured playtime, and not enough attention to the daily rhythm, sort of intentionally structuring the day so that highly demanding activities, cognitively, socially, and behaviorally demanding, are flanked by less demanding or restful periods. Now, don't get me wrong, I do not in any way mean to criticize hardworking teachers who do the very best they can here. It's a nearly impossible feat to meet academic standards and policy demands while also providing enough recess, outdoor play, and unstructured playtime for kids, especially for younger ones. What I suggest, though, is to use this knowledge to try to problem solve around your unique situation. So, for example, if your child is very active, if at all possible, plan a physical activity right after school. Walking home is great, or maybe even skip home if you live nearby. If you have to hop in the car, though, for a ride home, maybe you can spend 10 minutes at the school playground before they have to be restrained in that car. Or if your child has a hard time following instructions for hours on end, be sure to plan some chill time with little planned right after school so they can just tune out and shut down. If your child's allowed screen time at home, sometimes having a short set period to veg out right after school can give their brains a much needed break. Now I'll share with you an interesting psychology phenomenon as the next reason for after-school meltdowns. Negativity bias is the tendency to pay more attention to negative life events than to neutral or positive ones. So negative events are more prominent in our minds. They're given more attention, and more of our emotional energy focuses on them. Now, this is across all ages, but when your child shows you some of their worst behavior at school pickups, it could be that a number of issues that happened that day have left them feeling upset or irritated or angry. Some of these issues they'll be aware of and can relay to you, like getting shoved on the playground or having to have indoor recess because it's raining or forgetting to pack their lunch and having to eat the school lunch. Now, some of them, though, they won't fully process or understand, and you'll never even know about them. Things like the wording of a statement that made them feel like a friend might be upset with them, or the distracted or overwhelmed teacher who failed to see that their hand was raised and they feel like they never get called on, or the assignment that they just couldn't quite understand that day. So what we can do in this situation is encourage open communication and offer support as much as possible, despite them showing us their worst behavior. Often later in the day, after they've had a chance to recover from the strains of the school day, is a better time to ask for more details about how their day went, as opposed to right when they pop out of school. They might be ready to take a break right after school, but they might be ready to talk a little later in the day. And maybe at that point, they'll be ready to even remember some of the negative events that are troubling them, and you can help them process them. They might even be open to sharing positive events, and that's great too. Some of the things that were overlooked because the negative events were more salient. So if you can encourage them, well, what else happened today that was good? And again, bring out some of those positive events that can help override this negativity bias. Next, the third reason for after-school meltdowns will apply to a small but significant number of kids. There's an outdated way of thinking about introverts as shying away from social interaction and extroverts as seeking it out. However, more recently, the introversion, extroversion dimension, because it's not one or the other, it's really where do you fall on this line, this progression or dimension. It's been conceptualized as recharging one's battery. And so extroverts have batteries, internal batteries, that are charged by social interactions. So the more time they spend around people, the more powered up they feel. Introverts, in contrast, are drained by social activities. That doesn't mean that they don't enjoy socializing. It just means that a lot of their energy goes into social events, and they need time between social activities to recover. Now, depending on your own personality, it may be hard to recognize an introverted kid. I definitely had a hard time with one of my kids because they were so socially skilled and had a big friend group. And it really took me a while to realize that they needed these breaks before social events to recover, to recharge their internal battery. Let me know in the comments if you have an introvert. I'd love to hear if it was obvious or if it took some time to figure it out. For me, it was the inconsistency of them sometimes wanting to schedule play dates and sometimes not. At first, I thought it was more related to a specific friend, but over time, I realized that it was really just a matter of, do I have the energy for this today or not? Because it was the same friend, and sometimes she wanted to play and sometimes she didn't. So we did a little problem solving and figured it out. The longer you know your child and the more you understand their personality, the more you'll be able to support their introverted style. For example, if you have an introvert, their battery is likely running on empty by the end of the school day. So you might schedule playdates only on the weekend, not after school when they've already been flooded with socialization for the day. The fourth cause of after-school meltdowns provides a lot of opportunities for problem solving, and this is the 5 Nemeses of good behavior. You know how sometimes as a parent, you have these aha moments where you think, gosh, that makes perfect sense. Why didn't I think of that sooner? Well, there's this string of issues that I call the 5 Nemeses of good behavior because kids and adults alike have a hard time acting their best when they are hungry, thirsty, hot, tired, or in pain. For a lot of kids, immediately after school, they are physically exhausted and need some downtime. So if you build in some quiet time at home, they can be just the trick. Hunger and thirst can be addressed even sooner. One of the simplest tricks parents I work with often report immediately helping with this issue is getting intentional and planning ahead to have a snack ready for your child right when you pick them up from school. And this goes for younger kids, but also for older kids. My teens are just as susceptible to becoming hangry, so hunger-induced grumpiness after school, as my younger ones. If you think thirst might be an issue contributing to your child's poor behavior at pickup, try bringing a water bottle with cool water to greet them and see the wonderful effects. If hunger might be the cause, try bringing a snack that they can even eat on the walk from the classroom to the car. For years, I kept a box of snacks in the back of my car, and my kids would grab one as soon as they got in the car. It seems silly that they can't wait until you get home, but those little growing bodies need a lot of energy, and it makes the car ride home so much smoother when they have a little food in their tummies. I'll opt for planning ahead and keeping snacks in the car every time. The first 4 reasons for after-school meltdowns that we've covered today help with empathy and patience by allowing you to better understand your child's experience and what's causing that less than desirable behavior, as well as problem-solving steps to improve it. Now it's time for the hidden, heartwarming 5th reason your child shows you their worst behavior at school pickup. And this has to do with your attachment bond. One of the most important parenting concepts that I cover in my parent coaching program is forming a secure attachment with your child. It means forming a deep and enduring emotional bond that connects one person to another across time and space. Children come into this world programmed to form attachments to familiar caregivers. Parents need to meet that expectation by being consistently warm and responsive to their child's needs. There's a critical attachment window in infancy from about 6 to 8 months. When developed successfully, your child learns to trust and rely on you. As they grow, that trust transforms from knowing that you will feed and change them when needed to knowing that you will support and accept them when needed. If your child behaves well and then falls apart at pickup time for you, you've actually done a wonderful job raising your child. They trust that they can let their guard down, let it all out after a long day, and still be loved and accepted by you. It would be nice if they could show you in a different way, but it's a truly special privilege to be someone's primary attachment figure. So pat yourself on the back and try to remind yourself of that during the next after-school meltdown, so that rather than losing your cool, you can bring your A game and choose to respond in a loving and supportive way, while still upholding reasonable boundaries. Now that you know the 5 reasons your child melts down after school, you might be interested in a video that I just put out on my #1 parenting triage plan, the 4 steps to resolve any stressful parenting situation at any age, like when your child melts down after school. You can check it out here.